Good morning, welcome. It's Leanne Peters here. I'm from templeofbalance.com.au, Temple of Balance on Facebook and Temple of Balance on YouTube. And I'm here for Wednesday check-in. Woo! I can always hear, almost like a, like a regular program, like on the radio, and you have that little jingle. That's kind of what I can feel when I announce Wednesday check-in, and I get really excited about it because it is so important, our check-ins, not just Wednesdays, but our check-ins all the time. So I don't have a question to answer in this particular recording. In fact, I don't ever really have a plan. So this is just very much in the moment, this particular connection. So first of all, before we continue, I want to welcome my Temple of Balance patrons, my Pillar of Light family, and all of those of you who support my work through my website. Thank you so much for your support. Your support helps me be able to bring these types of videos out to you and to others. So thank you so much. So Wednesday check-in. Well, first of all, it doesn't have to be Wednesdays. This is just a regular weekly thing that I do and create to remind you to check in. So I've recorded several videos now on Wednesday check-in. So there's all different angles and areas that you can look at. So please have a look at my past videos if you want to. But basically, our checking in time is our time of observation. It could take a couple of seconds. We could spend a few minutes checking in. And basically checking in on the state of our body, the state of our mind, the state of our emotions, and maybe also the state of our life, because the state of our life and what we're dealing with in our life is going to affect us physically, emotionally, mentally. So checking in on the status of our life in that moment. I think sometimes we have to be really careful that we're not mentally projecting ourselves either back to how we felt or how things were, or forward into how we imagine or assume things are going to be, or expect how things are going to be. So the checking in time is very much about in this moment. So we may have, and I've noticed this when I don't, let's say the times when I haven't had much sleep. So mentally, or on some level, I would assume I'm going to be exhausted and tired today. This is going to be a really hard day because I haven't had much sleep and I was up really early and I've been really busy or whatever. So there's already a preconceived idea, if you like, that because I've had no sleep, and maybe you might feel this way a bit too sometimes, that I'm going to have a pretty exhausting day. I've tested this theory out, and when we have the preconceived idea that, I'm so exhausted, sometimes we're going to feel it, if that's how we feel when we check in. But I've also tested it and noticed that, okay, if I check in with how I feel now and not think about, hey, I haven't had much sleep, I'm assuming I'm going to be exhausted because I've had 3 hours sleep or something. When I actually put that aside, that whole idea, and I just tune in to how I feel and just check in, I actually realise I actually feel pretty good. I actually feel quite wide awake. It might be 3 a.m. So I'm going to work with this energy and I'm going to do a bit of work. I'm going to catch up on some things that I need to do today so that maybe later if I need a nap just to catch up on some sleep, I'm already in the flow of what I have to do. So I think sometimes our state of mind and what we're thinking, or what we preconceive, or what we expect, has a detrimental effect on our physical state, our emotional state, our mental state, and our life. So next time you don't get much sleep, take a moment to check in and observe how you feel in this moment. Not based on the story of that you didn't sleep much, not based on that you've got to be at work in 3 hours and what are you going to do? That's future thinking, based on your current state right now. Your mind, our mind, can knock us out of balance really easily, especially if we are not in the present moment from a mental perspective. And our mind tends to find it difficult to do that. Our mind wants to have the story. He wants to have the reasons why we have a sore leg or why we feel exhausted. But if we just tune in and check in and go, okay, I've got a sore leg. Okay, I feel exhausted. What am I going to do about it? Do I need to rest? Do I need to take some pain relief, or do I need to make myself a nice pot of soup and relax for the afternoon? I would rather base my action, my response to what I'm checking in and noticing. I'd rather take action or take action on what I perceive based on what I'm checking in with in the moment, not what I assume I'm going to be thinking or feeling later. So I guess this video is very much about our mindset. And our mind, especially our lower mind, our mind is a bit like a muscle, I've noticed. So we can get really lazy with our thinking, and we can just think these useless, unnecessary, ridiculous thoughts that just fill up our space, thinking just silly things about whatever, and even things that we don't even feel as true in our heart. So our mind can get very lazy with its thinking. And when it does that, it does tend to grasp onto the stories or the reasons why we are feeling the way we feel, or why we're going through what we're going through. And it does also want to grasp on, plans or things for our future, especially anxieties or assumptions or expectations of how our future's going to be, even if it's just in an hour's time, or tomorrow, or next year, or in 10 years' time. So our mind really knocks us out of balance when it's in that state. So what I would suggest with our checking in at this time is to really check in with our mental state. Our mind will want to run back to old scenarios or think future things. If we can train it, and we can train it, it's not impossible. It's probably not easy, especially if we've become lazy with our thinking over quite an extended period of time. It does require persistence. It does require consistency. It's a bit like, disciplining a child. We need to teach our children what to do and what not to do. We want to teach our child that it's not safe to step out into traffic. So we have to discipline our children and be consistent, so that they can stay safe. That's our role as parents. And I feel it's not dissimilar to how we need to get in charge of our thoughts. Be disciplined, be consistent. And it might take a few weeks to really start feeling and finding that focus where we can actually detach from what happened, and detach from the story, and detach from what might happen. And this is a really great tool just for our self-healing and moving forward. Because if we continually keep telling the old story and keep reviving it, we're going to keep holding ourselves in the pain. But in fact, the energy just wants to move, wants to be in motion. So if we're constantly or often telling the old story and keeping ourselves in that old place of pain and what happened, we're actually holding ourselves back. So with our check-in today, let's check in on our mental state. Let's do that now. So take a nice big breath. What we want to do is maybe calm our body down first. So what I would be doing is I feel the weight of my body on the chair, on the ground. I happen to be sitting right on the ground here. So just feel the weight of your body on the bed or the chair or wherever you are. If you're standing, feel the weight of your body on your feet. If you're sitting, like I am, feel the weight of your body on your tailbone. If you're laying, feel the weight of your body on your spine or across the whole length of your body, whether you're laying on your back or your stomach or your side. Just feel the weight of your body. And this is actually helping ground you. You don't have to do anything fancy to ground. It's just simply getting physical and connecting with our physicality. So take some moments to just feel the weight of your body, feel its support, feel its presence. And take some really big deep breaths. And just now we want to check in with our mental state. So what is our current state of thought? Now if we do this for longer than a minute or moment or two, If we do it for a moment, our mind can be clear, potentially, for a moment, unless we're really stressed out about something. If we do it longer from a few, if we, blah, 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 if we do it longer than a few moments, then our mind is going to want to take over. So it might be good to do this for a few extra minutes, and maybe in your own time and own space, to just stop, relax your body, and see what happens with your mind. Is your mind running into what happened or what you've just been doing? Is it running into your shopping list or what you have to do later today or the planning that you have to do? Where is your mind running? This is what we're observing. So we're not wanting to judge. We want to observe our current state of mind. Where is our mind at? Is it lazy and unruly and just thinking ridiculous thoughts? That will unground us straight away. So take some moments, I suggest today and maybe throughout the week, to check in with your current state of mind. You don't want to really be steering it yet. We want to be just observing. What is our mind doing? Now, from what we observe, we can then do something about it. So if you notice your mind just keeps playing on and keeps going back to something that happened last week or something that happened last year, and you just can't seem to get that out of your mind, then it might require some discipline, like I talked about, some discipline, some consistency, to really cut that out, detach from that old story. And like I say, it's not probably going to be easy, but it's also not impossible. So it is possible, and it's going to require some dedication, some focus. See if you can detach, and imagine how I detach. I might throw my thoughts out. I kick them out the door, and I walk over to my front door and I imagine kicking that thought out, and I shut the door behind me. And I'll keep doing that over and over again for as long as I observe this thought popping back in. There's also times when I imagine grabbing that thought and out of my head and throwing it like I'm throwing a ball as far away as I can, and just keep doing that. Another thing that's really worked for me is imagining that thought, so that story or what happened, as a tag, like a tag on a piece of clothing that scratches. So I imagine this tag emerging in my mind, and I have this big pair of scissors and I just cut it off, and I keep cutting off that attachment, that tag. So you can do the same with your future thinking. So if you're not happy in your life right now, you're probably going to be thinking about what you want in your life. The grass is greener over there. Why do they have that and I don't? All these types of future thinking. So you can do the same sorts of things. And they're just 3 things that I've found really helpful for me. There are other things you can do to get back in charge of your thoughts. So first of all, we want to check in, observe our current state of mind so we know where we're at mentally. And then from what we observe, then we need to proceed into action. Okay, what do I need to do? What's not healthy? Are my thoughts supporting me? And if your thoughts aren't supporting you, then what can you do about it? So I'm going to leave that with you. Thanks so much for connecting today. Happy checking in throughout the week. And I will be back next Wednesday for Wednesday check-in. So if you would like to learn more about the work that I do, please visit my website at templeofbalance.com.au. If you've enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up button. Please show us some love. Please comment or share if you're inspired to. And if you want to connect more privately, please send us a message through our website. Thanks so much for connecting. It's lovely to see you and lovely to connect with you. Sending you lots of love always from my heart to yours. Thank you so much.